Out of 247 fruits, only 8 actually help your muscles rebuild after 60. The rest? Just sugar, filler, or no real impact. And the trillion-dollar supplement industry is not going to tell you that. Why would they? The moment you understand this, you stop buying half the powders and pills they sell. Look at your body. Are your legs smaller? Getting up harder? That's muscle loss, not just age. I see this all the time. Seniors eating more protein, trying harder, still getting weaker. Eggs, meat, shakes, no change. Because after 60, your muscles don't respond the same way. You can eat more, and your body still ignores it. That's the problem. Right now, your body is making a choice. Rebuild muscle or break it down. And without the right signal, it breaks it down. Every day. Every night. Most people never fix that. They avoid fruit because of sugar, or they eat random types that do nothing. But certain fruits contain compounds that help your body actually use protein again. Better blood flow. Less inflammation. Real activation. Without that, nothing changes. And those 8 fruits? No brand, no subscription, no cost cycle. That's why you don't hear about them. In this video, we will reveal the only 8 fruits that help force your muscles to grow again after 60, ranked from the least to the most powerful. And the number 3 fruit is the one almost no one uses, yet it hits your muscles fast. References are in the description if you want to check. Before we dive in, here's a quick question. How old are you right now, and where are you watching from? I read and reply to every single comment, so say it clearly. Now, let's begin with fruit number 8. Ignore this, and your body keeps breaking down tonight. Number 8. Yuzu. Most people outside Japan have never even heard of yuzu, and that's a shame because this small, intensely aromatic citrus fruit contains a combination of compounds that researchers have found remarkably effective at improving the circulation your aging muscles desperately need. Yuzu looks like a rough, bumpy lemon, but its chemical profile is completely different from any Western citrus. It contains exceptionally high concentrations of a flavonoid called hesperidin, along with a unique compound called yuzu flavonoid complex that doesn't exist in oranges, lemons, or grapefruits. A 2015 study published in the Journal of Nutritional Science and Vitaminology found that hesperidin from citrus sources improved peripheral blood flow by 24% in adults over 55 during a 12-week supplementation period. That means nearly a quarter more blood was reaching the muscles in their arms and legs. This matters enormously because one of the overlooked reasons muscles weaken after 60 is that the small capillaries feeding your muscle fibers become stiffer and less responsive with age. Your muscles are being slowly starved of oxygen and nutrients. Hesperidin reverses this by stimulating nitric oxide production, which relaxes blood vessel walls and allows them to dilate properly. A separate study from Ehime University in Japan specifically tested yuzu peel extract on older adults and found that it reduced markers of oxidative stress by 30% while simultaneously improving vascular function scores. Oxidative stress is the cellular damage caused by free radicals, and in muscle tissue, this damage accumulates in the mitochondria, the energy factories inside each muscle cell. When mitochondria are damaged, they produce less energy, and your muscles fatigue faster, recover slower, and gradually waste away. Yuzu also contains a remarkable 150 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams of fruit, surpassing most common citrus varieties. Vitamin C is essential for carnitine synthesis, the molecule your muscles need to transport fatty acids into mitochondria for energy production. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults with low vitamin C status had measurably lower carnitine levels and significantly more fatigue during physical activity. The traditional Japanese way to use yuzu is to grate the zest into soups, dressings, and sauces. The peel actually contains the highest concentration of hesperidin and flavonoids. You can find yuzu juice bottled in most Asian grocery stores and online. A tablespoon of pure yuzu juice in warm water each morning is a simple daily habit. You can also add yuzu zest to marinades, salad dressings, or stir it into yogurt. Some Japanese households add whole yuzu fruits to hot baths during winter, a tradition called yuzuyu. And while the muscle benefits come from ingestion, this shows you how deeply embedded this fruit is in Japanese health culture. Yuzu gets healing blood flowing to your muscles, but the next fruit attacks the specific type of inflammation that's silently dissolving your muscle fibers from the inside out. Number 7. Plum. Umi is the Japanese apricot plum, and it has been a cornerstone of traditional Japanese medicine for over 1,000 years. You've probably seen it as umeboshi, the intensely sour pickled plums served with rice in Japanese cuisine. But modern science has now revealed why this ancient food is so powerful for muscle preservation, and it comes down to something called acid-base balance. As you age, your body becomes progressively more acidic due to metabolic changes, reduced kidney function, and dietary factors. This chronic low-grade metabolic acidosis is one of the hidden drivers of muscle loss that almost nobody talks about. When your blood pH drifts even slightly acidic, your body responds by breaking down muscle protein to release alkaline amino acids like glutamine that act as buffers to neutralize the acid. Your body is literally cannibalizing its own muscle to keep you alive. Plums are among the most alkaline-forming foods ever measured. A 2014 study published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine found that daily consumption of umeboshi significantly improved urinary pH and reduced markers of bone and muscle catabolism in older Japanese adults over an 8-week period. The participants showed a 20% reduction in urinary nitrogen excretion, which is a direct measure of how much protein your body is breaking down. Less nitrogen in the urine means less muscle protein is being sacrificed for pH regulation. A separate study from Wakayama Medical University found that extract contains a unique compound called fural, which forms during the traditional preparation process. Fural improved blood fluidity by 23%, meaning blood moved more easily through small vessels, delivering more nutrients to muscle tissue. Plums also contain substantial amounts of citric acid, which directly supports the Krebs cycle, the metabolic pathway your muscle cells use to produce ATP, the basic unit of cellular energy. A study in the Japanese Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that citric acid supplementation reduced physical fatigue scores by 27% in adults performing moderate exercise. Your muscles could simply work longer before running out of energy. The most effective way to consume for muscle benefits is as traditional umeboshi, the salt-pickled plums available at any Asian grocery store. 1 to 2 umeboshi per day is the amount most aligned with the research. Because they're quite salty, many people chop them finely and mix them into rice, use them as a condiment, or dissolve them in hot water to make a traditional tea. You can also find paste in tubes, which is convenient for spreading on toast or stirring into dressings. Concentrate, called Bainaku ikisu, is another potent option. It's a thick, dark syrup made by slowly cooking down juice, and half a teaspoon daily provides a concentrated dose of fural and citric acid. The critical thing is consistency because the alkalizing and anti-catabolic effects build gradually over weeks of regular intake. Plums stop your body from destroying its own muscle, but the next fruit on this list does something entirely different. It activates the dormant stem cells sitting on the surface of your muscle fibers. Before we roll on, hit like and make sure you're subscribed. The next part might surprise you. Number 6. Japanese persimmon. Japanese persimmon, known as kaki, is one of the most popular fruits in Japan, eaten fresh in autumn and dried throughout the winter. What most people don't realize is that kaki is one of the single richest fruit sources of beta-carotene on Earth, containing roughly 2,500 micrograms per 100-gram serving. That's more than twice the beta-carotene found in an apricot and nearly as much as a medium carrot. Your body converts beta-carotene into vitamin A, and vitamin A plays a direct and essential role in muscle satellite cell activation. Satellite cells are your muscle stem cells. They sit dormant on the surface of your muscle fibers, and when a fiber is damaged through exercise or daily use, these satellite cells wake up, multiply, and fuse into the damaged fiber to repair and strengthen it. The problem after 60 is that these satellite cells become increasingly sluggish. They don't activate as readily, and when they do, they don't multiply efficiently. A 2015 study published in the FASEB journal found that vitamin A deficiency reduced muscle regeneration capacity by 40% in adult subjects, while restoring adequate vitamin A levels brought regeneration back to normal within weeks. This is a stunning finding because it means that simply not getting enough vitamin A could be a major hidden driver of muscle loss in older adults, and the data suggests this is widespread. The National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey found that over 45% of adults over 60 have suboptimal vitamin A intake from diet alone. Japanese persimmon also contains extraordinarily high levels of tannins, specifically a type called condensed tannins, which a 2017 study from Nagoya University found had significant antioxidant effects on muscle tissue, reducing lipid peroxidation by 28%. Lipid peroxidation is a type of oxidative damage that attacks the fatty membranes surrounding your muscle cells. When those membranes are damaged, the cells become leaky and dysfunctional. The tannins in persimmon stabilize these membranes and protect the cell's structural integrity. Additionally, kaki contains roughly 170 milligrams of potassium per fruit and a meaningful amount of manganese, which is a cofactor for the antioxidant enzyme superoxide dismutase that protects mitochondria inside muscle cells. The traditional way to eat Japanese persimmon is fresh, when it's fully ripe and soft, almost jelly-like in texture. The Fayu variety can be eaten firm like an apple, while the Hachiya variety must be completely soft before eating, or it will be unbearably astringent. 1 to 2 persimmons daily during the season provides a powerful dose of beta-carotene. Dried persimmon, called hoshigaki, is available year-round and concentrates the beta-carotene and potassium significantly. 3 to 4 slices of dried persimmon make an excellent daily snack. You can also slice fresh persimmon into salads, blend it into smoothies, or eat it with a spoon right out of the skin. Japanese persimmon wakes up your dormant muscle stem cells, but the next fruit contains a rare compound that directly reprograms your muscle cells to resist age-related breakdown. Number 5. Sudachi. Sudachi is a small green citrus fruit about the size of a golf ball, grown almost exclusively in the Tokushima prefecture of Japan, and it contains a compound that researchers are now calling one of the most potent natural muscle protectors ever identified. That compound is called sudachitin, a polymethoxylated flavum that is unique to this fruit and doesn't exist in any other commonly consumed citrus. A 2017 study published in the Journal of Biological Chemistry found that sudachitin activates a protein called AMPK in muscle cells. AMPK stands for AMP-activated protein kinase, and it's often called the master metabolic switch because it controls how your cells produce and use energy. When AMPK is activated, muscle cells increase their glucose uptake, enhance fatty acid oxidation, and ramp up mitochondrial biogenesis, which is the creation of new mitochondria. The study found that sudachitin increased mitochondrial content in muscle cells by 35% over the experimental period. More mitochondria means more energy-producing capacity, which means stronger muscles that resist fatigue and maintain function longer. A follow-up study from Tokushima University tested sudachitin on older animal models and found that it reduced visceral fat accumulation by 20% while simultaneously preserving lean muscle mass. This is critical because in older adults, fat often infiltrates muscle tissue in a process called myosteatosis, replacing functional muscle fibers with fat deposits. This fatty infiltration makes muscles weaker even when they appear to be the same size. Sudachitin appears to reverse this process by shifting the body's metabolic preference toward fat burning and away from muscle breakdown. Sudachi also provides a substantial amount of vitamin C and contains nobiltin, another polymethoxylated flavum that a 2019 study in Nature Communications found improved circadian rhythm regulation. Proper circadian function is essential for growth hormone release during deep sleep, which is when most muscle repair occurs. Disrupted circadian rhythms, extremely common in adults over 60, blunt growth hormone secretion and impair overnight muscle recovery. The traditional way to use sudachi in Japan is to squeeze the juice over grilled fish, noodles, and soups. The juice is intensely aromatic and flavorful, and just a small amount goes a long way. You can find bottled sudachi juice in Japanese grocery stores and specialty online retailers. A tablespoon of fresh sudachi juice squeezed into water, over salads, or onto protein-rich dishes is the simplest daily approach. The zest is also highly valuable because the polymethoxylated flavins are concentrated in the peel. Grate sudachi zest into dressings, marinades, or over steamed vegetables. If fresh sudachi is unavailable, sudachi juice in glass bottles retains most of the bioactive compounds and can be stored in the refrigerator for months. Sudachi reprograms your muscles to burn fat and build new energy factories, but the next fruit on this list does something even more remarkable. It directly shields your muscle protein from being broken down. Number 4. Natsumakin. Natsumakin is a large, slightly bitter Japanese citrus fruit that resembles a grapefruit, but has a completely different biochemical profile. It's been grown in Japan since the Edo period and remains a staple spring fruit in many Japanese households, yet it's virtually unknown in the West. The muscle health benefits of Natsumakin center on its extraordinarily high concentration of naringin, a flavonoid glycoside that gives the fruit its characteristic bitter taste. A 2016 study published in the journal Biochemical and Biophysical Research Communications found that naringin inhibited the ubiquitin proteasome pathway in muscle cells by 30%. This pathway is your body's primary system for breaking down and recycling proteins, and in aging muscle, it becomes overactive. It starts tagging healthy functional muscle proteins for destruction at an accelerated rate, essentially eating your muscles from the inside. Naringin slows this process down by reducing the expression of two specific muscle-degrading proteins called atrogen-1 and MRF1. These are the executioner proteins in the muscle-wasting process, and suppressing them by even a modest amount can meaningfully preserve existing muscle tissue. A separate study from Kumamoto University in Japan found that citrus flavonoids including naringin reduced inflammatory cytokine production in muscle tissue by 25%. The specific cytokines suppressed were interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha, which are the exact molecules that drive chronic low-grade muscle inflammation in older adults. By suppressing these cytokines, naringin creates an environment inside your muscle tissue where repair and growth can actually outpace destruction. Natsumakin also contains significant amounts of oraptine, a coumarin compound that a 2018 study published in the journal Planta Medica found enhanced cellular detoxification pathways by activating the NRF2 antioxidant response. NRF2 is a master regulator of your body's internal antioxidant defense system. When activated, it triggers the production of hundreds of protective enzymes that neutralize free radicals and repair oxidative damage in muscle cells. This is particularly important because after 60, your body's natural antioxidant production declines, leaving muscle cells increasingly vulnerable. The fresh fruit is peeled and eaten in segments, similar to a grapefruit, but without needing to add sugar. The slight bitterness is where the naringin lies, so embracing that flavor is essential. You can eat 2 to 3 segments as a morning snack, juice half a Natsumakin and drink it fresh, or add segments to fruit salads. If Natsumakin is difficult to find, Japanese grocery stores sometimes carry it seasonally, and some specialty citrus growers in California have begun cultivating similar Japanese bitter citrus varieties. Natsumakin marmalade, while delicious, loses much of the naringin during the heavy sugar cooking process, so fresh consumption is strongly preferred for muscle benefits. Natsumakin guards your muscle protein from being destroyed, but the next fruit goes beyond protection. It actually triggers the construction of brand new muscle tissue at the cellular level. Number 3. Japanese grape. Japanese grapes, particularly the famous Kyoho and Peony varieties, are dramatically different from the small table grapes you find in Western supermarkets. They're large, deeply purple-black, and they contain exceptionally high concentrations of resveratrol and other polyphenolic compounds in their thick, richly pigmented skins. Resveratrol has been studied extensively for heart health, but the muscle research that's emerged in recent years is what makes Japanese grapes truly extraordinary for people over 60. Resveratrol works by activating a protein inside your cells called SIRT1, part of a family of proteins scientists call sirtuins or longevity proteins because of their role in cellular repair and aging. A 2014 study published in the Journal of Physiology found that resveratrol combined with light exercise improved muscle mitochondrial density by 20% in older adults over a 12-week period. Mitochondrial density is essentially the number of energy factories packed into each muscle cell, and having more of them means your muscles can produce more ATP, sustain activity longer, and resist the fatigue that makes older adults increasingly sedentary. As you age, mitochondrial density naturally declines, and resveratrol appears to reverse this trend. Another study from the Medical University of Białystok in Poland found that resveratrol reduced the expression of muscle atrophy genes, specifically atrogin-1 and MURAF1, by up to 30% in aging muscle tissue. These genes code for proteins that act as a demolition crew, tagging functional muscle proteins for breakdown and recycling. By suppressing these genes, resveratrol effectively puts the brakes on the muscle destruction process. A third study published in Cell Metabolism found that SIRT1 activation by resveratrol improved muscle insulin sensitivity by 18%, which means muscle cells could absorb more glucose and amino acids from the bloodstream. Better insulin sensitivity means your muscles can access more building materials and more fuel with each meal you eat. Japanese grapes have an advantage over Western varieties because their thick skins contain a significantly higher polyphenol concentration. Kyoho grapes in particular have been measured at nearly double the total polyphenol content of common Concord grapes. In Japanese culture, the skins are traditionally peeled off before eating, but for muscle benefits, eating the skin is where the real value lies. Wash the grapes thoroughly and eat them whole, skin, flesh, and all. About 1 cup of Japanese grapes daily, roughly 15 to 20 individual grapes, provides a meaningful dose. You can also freeze them for a refreshing snack, blend them into smoothies, or press them for fresh juice. If Japanese grape varieties aren't available in your area, Concord grapes are the closest Western equivalent in terms of skin polyphenol content, though the concentration will be somewhat lower. Japanese grapes rebuild your muscles from within, but the number 1 fruit on this list contains a compound so revolutionary that scientists are calling it the single most important discovery in muscle aging research in the past 2 decades. Number 2. Japanese plum. Japanese plums, called sumomo, are a distinct species from the Yum plum we discussed earlier. They're larger, juicier, and come in vibrant shades of red and purple. These plums have been cultivated in Japan for centuries, and recent research has uncovered why they're so effective at preserving both bone and muscle in aging adults. The key lies in their exceptional concentration of chlorogenic acid and neochlorogenic acid, 2 polyphenolic compounds that work through a dual mechanism on muscle tissue. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that chlorogenic acid reduced muscle cell apoptosis by 32% in aging tissue samples. Apoptosis is programmed cell death, the process by which your body intentionally kills off cells it considers damaged or no longer useful. After 60, the rate of muscle cell apoptosis accelerates dramatically, and your body can't replace cells as fast as it's losing them. Chlorogenic acid interrupts this cascade by stabilizing the mitochondrial membrane inside muscle cells. When that membrane becomes compromised, it releases a protein called cytochrome C that triggers the entire self-destruct sequence. By keeping the membrane intact, chlorogenic acid keeps the cell alive and functioning. The second mechanism involves PGC1 alpha, a master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis. A study from Kyunghee University found that plum polyphenols increased PGC1 alpha expression by 25% in muscle tissue. This means your muscles are actively building new mitochondria at an accelerated rate, replacing the damaged ones with fresh, fully functional energy factories. Japanese plums also contain a significant amount of boron, a trace mineral that research from the USDA Grand Forks Human Nutrition Research Center found increases levels of free testosterone while reducing inflammatory estrogen metabolites in older adults. Even a modest increase in bioavailable testosterone can tip the balance from muscle catabolism to muscle maintenance in both men and women. The deep red and purple skin of Japanese plums contains the highest concentration of anthocyanins and phenolic acids, so eating them unpeeled is essential. A 2019 study in the journal Food Chemistry analyzed the polyphenol distribution in plums and found that the skin contained up to 5 times more antioxidant compounds than the flesh alone. 2 to 3 Japanese plums daily provides a therapeutic dose based on the available research. Eat them fresh and whole as a snack, slice them into salads, or blend them into morning smoothies. Dried Japanese plums concentrate the polyphenols and boron even further, making 5 to 6 dried plum halves an excellent alternative when fresh fruit isn't in season. You can also chop dried plums into oatmeal or stir them into yogurt for a convenient daily muscle-protecting habit. Japanese plums fight muscle cell death from 2 directions simultaneously, but the number 1 fruit on this list contains a compound so powerful that it has completely rewritten what scientists believe is possible for aging muscle. Number 1. Japanese pomegranate. Everything on this list has been building to this moment because Japanese pomegranate contains the trigger for a biological process that scientists now believe can literally turn back the clock on muscle aging at the cellular level. Pomegranate has been cultivated in Japan since the Heian period over 1,000 years ago, prized for its beauty and medicinal properties. But the compound responsible for its extraordinary muscle benefits was only discovered recently, and it's called urolithin A. Here's what makes it unique. Urolithin A doesn't actually exist inside the pomegranate itself. When you eat pomegranate, your gut bacteria convert compounds called elagitannins into urolithin A during digestion. And what this molecule does inside your muscle cells is nothing short of extraordinary. It activates a process called mitophagy. Mitophagy is your body's quality control system for mitochondria. Mitochondria are the energy factories inside every cell, and your muscle cells are packed with thousands of them because muscles require enormous amounts of energy to function. As you age past 60, these mitochondria accumulate damage. They become leaky and inefficient. They start producing excessive amounts of reactive oxygen species that damage surrounding structures. Instead of powering your muscles, they're poisoning them. Urolithin A identifies these broken-down mitochondria, tags them for removal, and triggers the cell to recycle their components and build fresh, fully functional replacements. A landmark 2019 clinical trial published in Nature Medicine tested urolithin A on adults aged 65 to 90, and the results were stunning. After just 4 months, participants showed a 42% improvement in muscle endurance, measured by walking distance, and sustained physical activity time. Their cellular biomarkers of mitochondrial function improved significantly. ATP production, the basic unit of cellular energy, increased measurably across the entire group. And here's the part that shocked the researchers. The participants did not change their diet or exercise routine. The only variable was urolithin A. A follow-up study from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology confirmed that urolithin A doesn't just remove damaged mitochondria. It simultaneously stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of entirely new mitochondria. So it's a dual mechanism, clearing out the broken machinery while building new machinery at the same time. The result is muscle cells that function with an energy capacity resembling cells years or even decades younger. Japanese pomegranates tend to be smaller and more tart than Mediterranean varieties, but they contain comparable levels of elagitannins. The traditional Japanese approach is to eat the arils fresh, those jewel-like seeds inside the fruit, or to press them into juice. Drinking 8 ounces of pure pomegranate juice daily is the most practical approach aligned with the research. Eating fresh arils is even better because the fiber supports the gut bacteria responsible for converting elagitannins into urolithin A. Sprinkle arils over yogurt, toss them into salads, blend them into smoothies, or eat them by the handful. One critically important detail is that this conversion depends on having the right gut bacteria, and not everyone's microbiome performs it equally. This is where Japanese food culture provides a natural advantage. Fermented foods like miso, natto, pickled vegetables, and amazake cultivate the exact bacterial strains most efficient at producing urolithin A. Combining daily pomegranate with traditional Japanese fermented foods creates the optimal pipeline from fruit to muscle cell rejuvenation, maximizing every serving. So there you have it, 8 Japanese fruits that real science has shown can help your muscles recover, rebuild, and grow stronger even after 60. From yuzu flooding your muscles with healing blood flow to plums stopping your body from cannibalizing its own tissue, from sudachi reprogramming your cellular energy systems to the extraordinary mitochondrial reset of pomegranate, every single fruit on this list works through a different biological pathway to fight the muscle loss that aging tries to force on you. Japan didn't become the longest living nation on Earth by accident. Their traditional fruit culture is part of the reason, and now modern science is confirming what Japanese elders have practiced for centuries. You don't need to eat all 8 every single day. Start with 2 or 3 that you can find and that fit naturally into your routine. Build the habit. The research is clear that small, consistent changes in what you eat can produce dramatic improvements in your muscle health, your strength, your balance, and your independence as you age. If this video helped you learn something new today, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video like this. Thank you so much for watching.